Alright guys, we're going to pick up on part 2 of our tutorial about our RIIDEyeX gamma neutron radioactive isotope identifier. So we showed you how to identify last time. We showed you how to gather a background. I'm going to kind of go over the menu functions and then show you what's in that. So from the home screen, when this thing boots up and after it gets through AutoCal, we find the hard key that says menu on it. We're going to depress menu. It gives us 4 menu options. The first one is the spectra data. Scroll over to the next one, which is our field settings. Notice the background is in green. The next one is going to be our configuration. The background is in blue. And the next one is question or information. It's the help one, and it's in purple. Scroll back to the spectrum. I'm just going to kind of go through each one by one. Review most recent spectrum. If I hit enter on that, it'll take me to the last spectrum that this machine identified. It shows it right there, and sure enough, the last one we did with the time, with the date, with the number was barium-133. Notice the soft key report is highlighted. If I hit enter, it's going to ask me if I want to send this report for reach back. If I hit enter for yes, it's going to try to send it. I'm going to hit back because we don't have this hooked up to a satellite phone to do that. Once I do that, it gives me the actual analysis report, and this is also the information that's going to be put on the SD card. Now that we got to see that, I'm going to back out of it by hitting the back button and just hit right back. We're going to give us right back to the menu. The next one down is going to be review recent spectra. Spectra is plural for spectrums, so I can hit enter on that and see all the spectra that are in there. I can review or search for a specific spectra if I know the number. I can erase a specific one. I can erase all of them, or I can exit back to the dial mode. So it goes me back up to the top cursor. I'm going to scroll over to our field settings. Background is green. I can hit audible count rate. Notice it's not highlighted. The soft key is highlighted now, so if I hit enter, you can start hearing the ticks. Those are the actual counts per second. So as I get closer to radiation, we can hear the counts go up. Now, not only will the count per second going to go up, but also we have the vibrating alarm, the audible alarm, so no matter what mode you're in, you're still going to be able to see and hear. I'm going to disable audible count rate because I find it to be extremely annoying. It does have a tactical purpose, and we'll talk about that in the class. You could disable the vibrate, which I would not recommend doing that. You could disable the speaker. I don't recommend doing that. Speaker volume is at 85%. The alarm silence time is at 120 seconds. That means if you hit a button while the alarm is going off, it should stay silent for 2 minutes if the radiation does not increase. Display brightness is at 45% to save the battery. The backlight timeout is at 1 minute. And now we can do a course calibration. So we'll run through course calibration. We can either use a cesium-137 source or lutetium-176 source to do course calibration. This is basically a field calibration, kind of consistent with what maybe a bump test would be with our multi-gas meters. We can do it if we feel like the AutoCal is not getting done correctly. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to hit enter. It's going to ask me, which energy source do you want, cesium or lutetium-176? We're going to use cesium-137. So I hit select, enter. Place the cesium-137 source near the detector for calibration. I have a cesium-137 button source right here. So I take this guy and I put it right in front of the detector for calibration. While it does that, you will see that it says acquisition will begin, and just like getting our background and our identification in 42 seconds, I'm going to go ahead and continue because my source is right where it needs to be. Now this right here is going to establish a baseline based on what it knows the actual kilo-electron volts of radiation should be. You're going to hear a beep, then it's going to run through the gain again, then it should give you a series of beeps to let you know that the course calibration is actually complete. You don't have to do anything here. You can hit reset, which is going to restart the time of the actual course calibration, or you can hit cancel if you need to leave this to get to do another identification. This should be done on a frequent basis, but does not have to be done before each time that it's used. So we'll kind of sit here for a second while it's doing that. We just kind of talk about the 3 spectrums that we're supposed to get. We're supposed to be able to get a background spectrum for 3 minutes, a known spectrum for 3 minutes, and the unknown for 3 minutes. We will be using that cesium-137 as our known spectrum. So we will talk about that in the class and discuss how we use that, but just keep that in mind. Every time you're going to send a spectrum in for analysis, you need to be sending 3 spectrums: the background, the known, and the unknown. Our backlight's timed out, so I'm just going to hit it up a little bit there. And we'll give this guy a second to get its calibration done. All right, it's done. So I can run a self-test, which is kind of the same. It's just a different thing. It's an internal software test that it can do to it. We're going to skip that. Switching user is a way that we go from user to advanced or administrator mode. That's been locked out, so you can't mess anything up. It's firefighter proof. Exit obviously takes you back out. So I'm going to go over to the next setting menu, which is our configuration. I'm asking people not to mess with these things except for one, set date and time if for some reason the batteries are pulled and it needs to be replaced, and two, battery type. This is important for the battery indicator to be able to figure out how much energy is left in it. It's in nickel metal hydride right now, which are the rechargeable batteries. However, if I put the alkaline pack in, I need to go over to alkaline to do that. Please do not change the language into anything. There's no need to do that. Going back up and going over, this is the help pad. So if you're like, I just can't remember how to identify something, you can go to identifying radioactivity, hit enter, and it kind of walks you through. It's a built-in tutorial for all the different functions of this, how to collect a background, how to do background subtraction, all these neat things. What's the difference between a keypad and a soft key? So it's always there if you need it, and it's in the menu settings. All right. Let's talk about getting a spectrum of more than one thing at a time and how different it can be for the machine. So if I have a radioactive source that I want to get a spectrum on, I find it, and let's just say I'm going to go over to Finder mode. So I'm in Finder mode because I'm looking for radiation. I'm looking at my histogram to make sure that I can see time versus bar graph or intensity of radiation. The top bar moving there is our gamma radiation, or sorry, our neutron radiation, which we should not be running into, and the bottom one is gamma. Those little lines with nothing backfilled in them, that's our background radiation or normal radiation. As we get closer to radiation, or we sweep by it, we start seeing that this thing starts going to high gamma identify, and you can see the histogram is actually picking up. As you get closer to the radiation, you see the histogram will actually scale down. So this is telling you that your background was there, and look how much higher above background that we are now at, and we're staying at that. So it's saying high gamma, would you like to identify? Of course we are, that's why we have this machine. I use the hard key, or highlight identify, hit enter. Immediately you start seeing all the things that are going to pop up here, all the different colors. So green, it's saying I think there's cobalt-57, which would be a medical isotope. You see the purple showing up, which is or that magenta color, which is our special nuclear material. That's alarming, but it's trying to work itself out of that. That's Neptunium that's pulling up there. And then you notice that this spectrum is going to go up and down and up and around and move. This is picking up a bunch of different energies. There's actually 7 different sources inside of here right now, and this is actually trying to come up with a comparative analysis on which one is which. There's a lot of different isotopes in the library in this machine, and it's going to try to compare specific energy levels with very specific radiation levels that it's picking up and try to make a comparison. So it's not always going to be 100% correct, and the more isotopes that there are, the harder this thing is going to be accurate. Look like it's picking up manganese 54, cobalt 57, zinc 65, cesium 137, and sodium 22. So we're going to see what the acquisition report says, and there it is. Look at the different nuclides. Cesium is 66%, manganese 89, zinc 75, cobalt 63, sodium 22. I'm going to pull our machine away just to get our alarm to silence, and let's kind of take a look at what we have in here. Looks like we've got cadmium 109, which it didn't even pick up, cobalt 60, which it got, sodium 22, it did pick up. We had cobalt 57, which it picked up, manganese 54. And this is an unknown source, which looks like it has cesium 137 in it. So 2 of the 6 sources that are in there, this did not even pick up. The more shielding that's in between your device and your sources, the less likely it's going to be to get an accurate spectrum, and the more sources that are there, the harder it's going to be for it to identify it as well. I'm just going to show you how to walk through changing the batteries to if our nickel metal hydride batteries go dead in the field, how we put our alkalines in. Please power it down completely. And it says powering off. Now that the machine is off, I just come right to the back, pull this out, give it a quarter turn counterclockwise. The door pulls off. You'll notice that right inside of here we have our battery connection, positive and negative. Snap that off, pull it to the side, pull the black ribbon, and my battery pack of nickel metal hydride rechargeables comes out. At this point, I can replace it with our alkaline battery pack. Put 8 batteries in there the correct way, drop it down in, reconnect the positive negative, close the cap, and when it turns back on, do not forget to go to your settings menu and change your battery type to alkaline. This concludes part 2 of our tutorial. There'll be one more tutorial on how we actually get the spectrum out of the machine and export it. Thank you.